Hello class, Mrs. Hayes here. Today we're going to go over a flip lesson on black humor and irony. Those are some literary concepts that are important for us to know today. First of all, let's go over our objectives of today's lesson. First of all, students will be able to describe what black humor is and how it is used. And then second of all, students will be able to identify how irony and diction are used to develop black humor. And as you can see, this aligns with the Common Core English literacy standards in terms of understanding connotative meanings and the impact that specific word choices have on the meaning of a piece. So while you watch this video, please write down the answers to the two initial questions, answers to two career professionals that use black humor, and the definitions of black humor, irony, satire, and diction. So the initial question is, I want you to write down 3 examples of how people cope with traumatic events. Other people, not yourself. After you've done that, give 2 examples of how you cope with traumatic events. You may pause this video and write those answers down. Be prepared to share your answer in class, and also make sure you have it written down on your list of things that you need to bring to class. Something to keep in mind is there are lots of ways that people deal with traumatic experiences. For example, my husband is a police officer, and he sometimes encounters people that have passed away or get seriously hurt in accidents, and they might have injuries. And so one way that police officers or other first responders deal with traumatic experiences is they use black humor. And so black humor is also known as dark comedy or gallows humor. It's a kind of humor that treats sinister subjects, maybe like death or disease or divorce or warfare, with bitter amusement and presents such tragic and distressing or morbid topics in humorous terms. Because, I mean, if you're not crying, you might as well be laughing about it. And laughing is another way of coping. It's a coping mechanism for some difficult situations that we as humans go through. The original term was coined by French surrealist Andre Breton and became popular in the 60s after the movie Dr. Strangelove was produced. This movie was a comedy that was ridiculing the military and resulted in the world being demolished by nuclear bombs. So some examples of black humor include, here's one for us right here. A group of surgeons in an operating theater is in the middle of what looks like a heart surgery. Without a sign of warning, the heart springs out of the patient's body right into one of the surgeon's faces. Another surgeon remarks, "That's the most amazing case of tissue rejection I've ever seen." And so he was making light of the situation by emphasizing, he's using kind of a play on words there when he says tissue rejection. Another example, in an operating theater, a surgeon has one arm deep in an open body. Another surgeon explains the situation to a man in a suit. "The autopsy is finished. He's only looking for his wristwatch." So implying that the doctor left, or the surgeon left, his watch in the open body when it must have fallen in there during the surgery. So these are examples of black humor. Here are a few cartoon and memes. The first one, "What's the diagnosis, doctor?" "What is your zodiac sign?" "Cancer." "What a coincidence." So it's using humor to make light of a situation that would otherwise seem very tragic. Another example would be, "Titanic, be like, I nominate all passengers for the ice bucket challenge." So using words there to create a sense of humor in a very tragic situation. So the difference between black humor and satire is a very important distinction that we need to make. Black humor ridicules a mournful or tragic event. It is very careful to do that and make it lighthearted, whereas satire makes fun of someone or an institution in a negative way, often used for political purposes. So, whereas black humor may ridicule the event that's tragic, satire makes fun of a certain person or a certain institution, maybe like the government or the military, in a specific way. So, what is irony? Irony is used to illustrate black humor, and its definition is a figure of speech in which words are used so that their intended meaning is different from their actual meaning. It could also be a situation that ends up in a quite different way than what's really anticipated. It's the difference between appearance and reality. So, some examples of irony that we can look at. This comes from Kurt Vonnegut's Slaughterhouse-Five. The hobo on the train says, "This ain't bad," the hobo told Billy on the second day. "This ain't nothing at all." On the eighth day, the 40-year-old said to Billy, "This ain't bad. I can be comfortable anywhere." On the ninth day, the hobo died. So it goes. His last words were, "You think this is bad? This ain't bad." So we can see an example of this irony is that he tells Billy, "This ain't bad," day after day after day. And finally, on the ninth day, he passes away. And so really, it's ironic because it really was pretty bad if he ended up dying from his uncomfortable situation. So, what is diction? Diction is the choice of words that the author uses to reinforce the black humor. So, diction is the author's choice of words. Here's another example from that text I mentioned earlier. They had been discovered and shot from behind. Now they were dying in the snow, feeling nothing, turning the snow to the color of raspberry sherbet. So it goes. So we're in the setting of a war zone, and the author refers to the snow as raspberry sherbet. So you go from thinking about war and a battlefield to ice cream. And so the author's choice of words there really kind of makes the situation a little bit more lighthearted. So another example of black humor, we have a scenario where a girl that you went on a date with did not text you, letting you know that she made it home okay, even though you may have asked her to do that. And so how could we create black humor from the scenario? I mean, it's kind of sad that she forgot about you or forgot to text you. And so you could create an example of that by saying, "I told a girl to text me when she got home. Well, she must be homeless." And so this is a form of black humor that kind of makes light of the situation, that she forgot to text you back. So there's some sources I use to create these slides. Don't forget that after watching this video, you need to bring to class as your entrance ticket answers to the 2 initial questions, answers to 2 career professionals that you think would use black humor. Please do not use the example of a police officer or of a firefighter or ambulance worker. Be creative and think of something new, and also bring with you definitions that I have put in this PowerPoint of black humor, irony, satire, and diction. Thank you so much for watching. I look forward to seeing you in class. Have a great day.